Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. So today, well, this is my second time filming this video because the first time didn't go over well. So we are talking about my November reads and my December reading plans. So without further ado, grab yourself a beverage or a snack and let's dive in. So I have my notebook with my notes of all the books that I read this month. Let's just start again. Side note, if you hear a lullaby, it is my son's noise machine. He is sleeping right now, which allows me to create content. So kind of sorry, not sorry, if you can hear that in the background. If you watched my previous reading update video, you'll know that in September I tried to do the magical readathon autumn equinox installment. Being fresh postpartum and having a newborn, it just was not a good time to participate in something like that. But now things have really calmed down. I'm starting to make more content and be more comfortable in motherhood, so I set out to do this readathon on my own in the month of November, and I switched it up from what I would previously do. So I would have a separate book for every individual prompt. This year, if a book fit multiple prompts, I read it for multiple prompts. It was just a way to, one, get out of a reading slump, and two, just get back into reading again and the joy of it. So this readathon you can participate in any way you want to. G makes it very open to interpretation and whatever is best for you. It's not a challenge. I mean, it's not like the reading police are gonna come for you or the magical police are gonna come for you. It's more so just to challenge yourself. Love reading, but add a little stakes to it. Let's dive in. I'm not going to get into all of the prompts and what I read each book for, but I will say I'll put up the requirements for each of my 4 careers on the screen. So I always have done and started out with the Master of Elements, which is the Order of the Crescent's exclusive career. And then I did Mage Hunter. And to help with mage hunting, I did Star Whisperer and Moon Warden, I think is the last one. Again, I'll have those on the screen if you want to know more about those, and I'll leave G's video down below, or her channel, and you can go and check out all the informational videos she has about this readathon over the last few years. So in no particular order, I'm just going to talk about the books I read. So first we have The Sweet Collide by Ava Harrison. I gave this 4 stars. It was really good. So we follow Aiden, and Aiden has some OCD tendencies, and as someone who has a few, not as extreme as Aiden does, this representation was so good. As in, it wasn't just like she had, I think they're called sensitivity readers, but like personal experience involving these obsessions is what I think they're called in the book. So we follow Aiden, and he is this big pro hockey star. He has a lot of pent up energy and anxiety, and his agent says, hey, why don't you just blow it off with a girl? I know someone, and he's like, I'm not gonna like pay for like I'm not gonna do that. And he's like, no, she'll be into it. She's like, I know her, that kind of thing. And Aiden eventually agrees to this. After they have their relations, he does some things, and she doesn't balk or make fun of him or, you know, run out of the room screaming as he thinks that she would. This is the first time that Aiden has experienced this. So he proposes that she pose as his fake girlfriend to help him set up and coordinate his life the way that he wants to, which leaves him more room to do things that he likes and not be so anxiety ridden about these things. She inevitably agrees, and it has to be a fake girlfriend because she's gonna be with him all the time. So he originally thinks, hey, maybe you should be my assistant, but then he's like, no, people are thinking I'm sleeping with you and that just wouldn't work, so be my fake girlfriend. She agrees. Then we have, I believe her name is Poppy. I have to double check that, but I think it's Poppy. And she has had a rough life. And when she was younger, she had a best friend who pretty much just up and abandoned her and never looked back. One night she is sleeping on her friend's couch when she sees this ex-best friend on TV. Her friend works at the hotel that he's staying at and kind of gives her the details, and she goes there thinking she's going to give him a piece of her mind. There may have been some alcohol involved in this. When she gets there, she is stopped by this guy's agent, and she ends up signing an NDA meant for another woman. When she gets in there, prepared to give him a piece of her mind, which is why she signed the NDA, so she could get to him, he does not recognize her and has no idea who she is. This obviously guts her. She ends up keeping all of what she was going to tell him inside, ends up sleeping with this man, agrees to be his fake girlfriend so she can help him with his organizing of his life. Obviously, this is a hockey romance. Obviously, they fall in love. But when the secret comes out about who she is, it's messy, it's dirty. It was so good. They both have things that they really need to work through. They both don't trust easy and have their walls built to the nines. So each other breaking through those only for this secret to come out was very interesting to watch. Then I read You're So Bad by Angela Casella, and I gave this 3.5 stars. So we follow Shauna, who is an artist. She's a pottery artist. She creates monstrous mugs. So they're mugs that are horror-based, monster-based, that kind of thing. In her crafting community, she met this lovely old woman who owns a craft store and ended up falling in love with her son. Said son ends up cheating on her with her best friend. They are now ex-best friends, on Shauna's side anyway. She asks Shauna to be her maid of honor as her ex, and her ex-best friend are now getting married. And just to dig the knife a little deeper, all of their celebrations for the wedding are at Shauna's favorite places, doing the things that she loves or wants to do, which kind of ruins these things for her. But in comes her grandmother, who tells people this lie because she is tired of people talking about her granddaughter, how she has this lovely, wonderful new doctor boyfriend and they're in love. Said doctor boyfriend is her grandmother's best friend, Leonard, who is young. Their friendship is completely unexpected, but they are the best of friends. And Leonard agrees to be Shauna's doctor boyfriend, but also to make her ex jealous and kind of a chaos coordinator, if you will, and to help Shauna stand up for herself as she is a people pleaser. She doesn't want her ex-best friend and her ex-boyfriend, fiance, to know that she is so bothered by them being together, because Shauna was in love with the idea of love, and she realizes throughout the story that maybe she didn't love her ex as she thought she did. It was so good. I very much loved it. Moving on, I read a collection of sexy Halloween stories. So this collection of short stories is from A Monstrous Mistake. That's the name of the collection. And I read Vampires for Halloween by Hardin Parker, A Warlock for Halloween by Lissa Freed, A Demon for Halloween by Rose Bach, and Bitten on Halloween by Latrexa Nova. All of these start at this town's Halloween party where a regular or seems so regular person meets a monster of some kind as they are free within this town. Some of them are reverse harem, some of them are, thruples, some of them are singular people, but they're pretty good. They're no longer than like 180, 200 pages, I think, so they were a good read. No complaints. Okay, then I read Empire of Storms and Kingdom of Ash by Sarah J. Maas. Everybody and their mother knows about Sarah J Maas and her novels, so I won't go too much into it, but pretty much the Throne of Glass series follows Celaena, who is Ardalin's famous assassin, and she was betrayed and caught and thrown into the salt mines, aka their prison, only to be pulled out with an offer from the Crown Prince to be his champion in a tournament to become his father, the king's champion, to do his bidding as he sees fit. Celaena agrees to this, as after a certain amount of years of serving the king, then she will be free of her debts. We have love, romance, magic, political intrigue, new characters introduced, friendships, betrayal, all of the things that you could want. I like this series most not only for Sarah's writing, because you can definitely see the 15, 16-year-old who started this series to the woman and the growth of writing as an author to the end at Kingdom of Ash. To see Celaena go through this transformation was really, really wonderful. What I also loved about this story is the balance of plotline and romance plotline. They're pretty even, and even with the romance, there's always a reason to Sarah doing something within the story. Everything kind of makes sense. There are some things that really bother me later on in the series, which I won't get into because I don't want to spoil anything, that drive me nuts, but I dismiss it because the series as a whole is so addictive and so wonderful to read. I highly recommend. Okay, then I read Good Elf Gone Wrong by Alina Jacobs, and I gave this 3.5 stars. So this is another almost revenge ex-fiance story. So we follow Grace, and she catches her fiance with her sister on Christmas Eve at their parents' house doing the deed. Everyone is involved and comes downstairs after she's like, what the hell is going on? And they're like, surprise, we're in love, I'm no longer marrying you. And her family pretty much pushes her feelings aside because her sister can do no wrong. Grace is always the good daughter, and this is something her parents have molded into her, as it's not a spoiler, but later on in the book we find out that Grace's childhood room doesn't have a door because she did one wrong thing when she was a child, and her parents took her door and never gave it back, even as I think she's almost in her 30s adult. So she's pretty much told to get over it, and her sister's in love, so her feelings don't really matter. She's also tasked with planning her ex-fiance and sister's wedding. Is pretty much her dream wedding. She's tasked with everything. She's definitely the people pleaser. She is the one who makes the holidays run for her big family, which is really frustrating to read, and you feel bad for her, but you also know that she doesn't stand up for herself. She's the one who cooks all the meals. If someone's hungry, she gets it. She sits down for 2 seconds at the table and someone's asking for something, and she never actually gets to sit down and enjoy a meal. She's the one planning all the activities for the kids and the people, and along with her sister's wedding. And what really sets her off is her sister pretty much destroys her grandmother's dress for this wedding, and everybody knows that her grandmother's dress is Grace's dream wedding dress. And she finds out that her sister has pretty much torn it apart to nothing, and she's like, well, there are some scraps that you can have, and she him and haws about this and eventually says, okay, yeah. And her sister's like, oh, I didn't think you were actually gonna say yes, I threw them out. It's so sad. So anyways, her family is well off, and she also pretty much runs the family business. Even though every single member of her family is on the payroll, only her and her cousin and her ex-fiance are at the office. He is pretty much a dud, and she pretty much runs everything. And one of her cousins, or 2 of her cousins, see what's going on and is against it, but the family doesn't care. So on her way home, as we know, her family is pretty well off. On the bus, she meets Hudson, and he has this bad boy air about him and does something she would never normally do, and asks him to be her fake boyfriend and she will pay him. Says yes in the end, and he takes it all the way home plus some, like a victory lap almost. He really gets into that bad boy-esque era. And the reason for this is that she knows that her sister just wants everything she does. And with Hudson's bad boy look and attitude, her sister will definitely cheat on her husband. The wedding will be off. Hudson sees how her family treats her, and even though he's playing this bad boy, don't really care about her kind of way about him, he sees how her family treats her and stands up for her. Like, no, go get your own bacon. She's not your slave kind of thing, which is really sweet. And obviously, again, this is a love story, so they fall in love, but we find out that perhaps their meeting on the bus wasn't so chance, and maybe Hudson isn't exactly who he says he is. So it's really good. I recommend. 3 more to talk about. The Mistletoe Kisser by Lucy Score. I gave 4 stars, and we follow Ryan, who is an accountant who was fired from his job. And his uncle calls him close to Christmas and says, hey, I really need your help. It's an emergency. I'm about to lose my farm. I need you here to help me. Only when he shows up in this small town, his uncle is nowhere to be found, and he finds out he's on his way to another family emergency that he has to go be with his cousin. And in comes this sheep out of nowhere that he doesn't know if he hits or not on his way to the bank to see the bank lady, her name's Rainbow, to figure out what's going on with his family's farm, only to run into this sheep. So he brings the sheep to the vet, and we meet Sammy, the vet tech. She's actually filling in for another vet tech who got food poisoning. Through some argument, shows up the next day to show him how to take care of this sheep while they find where the sheep is supposed to be, as well as his uncle's chickens. As she's leaving, he runs into some car trouble, so he has to drive around with Sammy looking for Rainbow, the bank lady, and going to all of her appointments, as Sammy is a vet tech specializing in farm animals. In the end, Ryan's uptightness and selfishness makes Sammy realize maybe she should be a little bit more selfish and pursue the dreams that she really wants. Even though Sammy was pushed into her career, she loves animals, but her mom built this empire or this business for Samantha, is what she says. So Samantha never thought that she had any other choice but to become a vet tech. And Sammy's kindness, people-pleasing tendencies, and wanting to help others makes Ryan realize maybe I'm a little bit too in myself and I should be more present with my family. So it was really good. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I did not see the twist coming at the end, but this is the 4th book within this series, and I forget what the series is called. We have cameos, obviously, of the other characters from previous books, as all of them take place within this small town. And you may have seen the twist coming at the end if you read those books, but they can be read as standalones, so I did not see it coming. I didn't know what to think, except I laughed, and I'm like, oh, so it was so good. I highly recommend. The other 2 books that I am currently reading and will finish by December 1st, because I'm almost done both of them, is Play Along by Liz Tomford, as well as Holiday Hostilities. And Holiday Hostilities I'm listening to on audio, and Play Along I am reading as an ebook. So I'm thoroughly enjoying both of them, but I don't have any thoughts on them yet. Both of them are sports romance, so I'm excited to see how they end. So those are all the books that I read in November and my quick December plans. I'm still reading Malice by John Gwynne, and this is for Becca in the Books Catch Up Book Club, the Faith Follow Along. The live show is in January, so I will hopefully finish by then. For December, I've had this idea for quite some time now, and I decided to just bite the bullet and do it for December. So there will be reading vlogs for this. I think I'll do 2-week increments. I got this set of etc. cards in an Owl Crate box when I was getting them. Pretty much what it is a deck of cards that have owls on one side and a book prompt on the other. I think this is a game where you set a timer and you pick a prompt and you have to name 5 books with that prompt. Since I already filmed this video once, I know what my first prompt is, and that's what I was going to do. So I shuffled the deck. There's quite a few. There's also some at the bottom for you to write your own prompts on, but I picked magical artifacts and objects. So that is my first prompt for December, and I chose The City of Brass by S.A. Chakrabarty, and I'll just read the back. On the streets of 18th century Cairo, Nahari is a conwoman of unsurpassed skill. She makes her living swindling Ottoman nobles, hoping to one day earn enough to change her fortunes. But when Nahari accidentally summons Dara, an equally sly, darkly mysterious jinn warrior, during one of her cons, she learns that even the cleverest of schemes can have deadly consequences. Forced to flee Cairo, Dara and Nahari journey together across hot, windswept sands teeming with creatures of fire, and rivers where the mythical myriad sleep, past ruins of once magnificent human metropolises, and mountains where the circling birds of prey are more than what they seem. To Davabad, the legendary city of brass. It's a city steeped in magic and fire, where blood can be as dangerous as any spell. A city where old remnants run deep and the royal courts rule with a tenuous grip. A city to which Nahari is irrevocably bound, and where her very presence threatens to ignite a war that has been simmering for centuries. This has been on my TBR for so long. I've owned it for quite a few years now and I've never read it. I have the first and the second in the series, so I am starting another series, but I am super excited. I've heard a lot of wonderful things about this series, so I hope to enjoy it. So those are all the books I read in November again, and my plans for December is just to mood read. Pick a prompt and read something that comes to mind. Even if I don't pull a prompt and I see a book that I want to read, I'll read it. There is no amount of books that I want to read or anything like that. I just want to have a really good time for my birthday month and closing out the year. So I have a lot of wonderful, fun content coming this month that I'm super excited to create for you guys. So stay tuned for those, and I will catch you in my next video. Bye!